Peace, family. I got a special episode for you today. Welcome to Underground Railroad Productions. As you, all the hip hop heads, as you can see, I got in the building. Mysonne, man, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me, King.
Yo, it's a pleasure to have you. I remember the first time I heard your lyrics. I must have been about 17, and I heard you. That was the Violator days, and you was like, Mysonne, lefty, gun up in the right palm. You know what I'm saying? And we was like, yo, this dude is crazy. So, you know, fast forward to now to have you here talking to you and to see where your mind is at right now. That's what's most important, mind over matter. And you at such a level right now that you are exactly what the community needs to support at this moment. So I definitely appreciate you coming on the platform. I want to start out. I noticed a lot of things I want to talk to you about. I noticed you've been wearing this shirt that says, whoa, oh, let me see it. Yeah, that's what I want to see, because we're going to start like that. And we're going to, so let's see what that says, family. Gangster, but woke as fuck. Crazy shirt. Yeah. Crazy shirt.
Yes, sir.
Is there any way they could get that?
Oh, you can get it.
Yeah, let them know.
You can go to my site, nbcapparel.com. and order it. It's definitely like selling out right now. So.
I'm gonna advise everybody, all the dudes on my platform, especially to get that. Sisters too, get that shirt. That shirt is official. They gangster but woke as fuck. So I'm gonna have his website link in the description bar if you're interested in purchasing it. But the reason why I mentioned that shirt is because when you say woke, that's another way of saying conscious or aware or somebody that's socially conscious. And it seems as though unless you have some sort of gangster element to your consciousness, people look at that shit as being corny, man. So unless you got that Tupac edge to you, unless you got that Malcolm X to you, unless you got something, nigga, a regular woke dude, a regular conscious dude, just spitting knowledge, the average dude will look at him as corny. But for some reason, when that gangster element gets mixed in with it, it's like, yo, that dude is that nigga right there. Why do you think that is, brother?
I think it's being able to identify, especially where we come from. You know what I'm saying? We come from communities in which the gangster persona is glorified. So those elements are pretty much needed to be able to capture the minds and the ears of the youth, because that's what they glorify. So when they see what they glorify, just like it's like what I tell people all the time, it's like cherry flavored cough drops. You understand what I'm saying? Like, people need medicine. Everybody know they need medicine, but they don't like the taste of it. You know what I'm saying? So when you put that cherry on it, it makes it more appealing. Right. So they don't even feel like they're getting medicine. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So when I'm teaching people within their ignorance, and I'm telling you about the gangster, and I give you the persona of a gangster because that's what I'm from. But at some point, I became conscious and woke up and started realizing that, you know, unity and us being together and us building, us evolving and us elevating and us pushing the culture forward is going to get us way further than us being at odds and stealing and hurting and destroying our own communities. You know what I'm saying? So I realized that. I went through certain things and I became a credible messenger because I went through the pitfalls. I lived through the same things that we all go through. I've been in the streets with the same shit that we all been through. So when I'm giving you something, you realize it's authentic. And I'm not preaching to you and I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you that it's sharks in the water. Now, if you decide you want to put your hand in it, cool. And then at the end of the day, I'm still able to conduct myself in a manner as a stand-up individual. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I understand there's certain codes and rules that we live by in our communities. You know what I'm saying? I still conduct myself as a man, so I demand respect. You can't disrespect me. And I'm able to call out things that I feel are not productive to our communities, not productive to the culture, and stand on my square and be able to deal with it in any fashion. Right. Even though violence is not, it's like Malcolm X said, you know, be kind, be humble. But if a man puts his hands on it, you send him to the morgue. Right. And those are the principles I live by. Like, I'm not here looking for violence and all that, but I'll never allow you to harm me. You know, so those things identify with most of our community, especially youth, the millennials, because they warrior. They got that warrior spirit in them, and they don't want to identify with the kumbaya. Everybody ain't kumbaya. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was a great leader, but his method of leadership was for him and the people that wanted to follow him. Just like Malcolm was a great leader and his method of leadership. So I try to combine both of those, who are two of my favorite black men in history, and combine both of those methods and those messages to come up with the universal message for the people, for our people.
Well, since you mentioned Malcolm, we seen when his if you read the book or if you seen the movie, we pretty much are familiar when his awakening happened, when he got woke. What was yours like? When did it happen? Because I know you did time in jail. When did you finally something click in your head like, yo, something's wrong here with the system, with this, with that? When did that happen for Mysonne?
Well, there was always, I always had, I don't know, for like a hero spirit. You understand what I'm saying? Like when I was young and I was in 4th and 3rd grade, I would fight the bullies. You understand what I'm saying? I just never wanted to see the bully pick on somebody. Like, why are you picking on them? Pick on me. You know what I'm saying? My teachers used to come get me when the kids used to disrespect them and the bullies was in their class picking on, or the girl, I walk by and see somebody picking on a girl and be like, yo, that's always been who I am. So always my soul and my moral compass was always on the side of, of what was just. Mm-hmm. So
right.
My situations dictated that I do other than that. My circumstances and my reality and how I was forced to live at some points dictated that I do other than what my natural calling was. So even when I was in the streets committing crime and doing it, it was still the level of honors and principles that I abided by, because this was always just a means in the end. And if I didn't have to do it, I wouldn't have done it. I wasn't a dude that was hustling because I thought it was cool. I never thought me being a hustler was cool. I was a dude that hustled out of a sense of desperation and wanted to get more. So I always felt like I had a level of consciousness. And I think when I went to prison, being around the God bodies and the Muslims and understanding, being able to identify with the spiritual aspect and a lot of the principles of those religions, not so much as the religious part. I never subscribed to religion, because I just think religion itself is divisive. So
Indeed.
And there's so many great people that are in different religions, but are divided because they have different faiths. Yeah, and because these certain faiths tell you that there's only one God, and if you call them by a different name and all. So I never subscribe to that. So being around and being in those situations, I think that pretty much pricked my consciousness and made me start paying more attention, having to sit around in 7 years and realizing that most of the people in prison were there for crimes either they didn't commit or crimes that they shouldn't have been doing 20 and 30 years for. I know one of my friends was doing 25 years for supposedly robbing a pocketbook from a white woman that only had $1 in it.
Damn, 25 years?
Did 25 years.
Whew.
You know what I'm saying? They said it was armed robbery and this and that. But the lady had $1 and they never had any weapon. It was just so much that I realized goes on that, our people are subject to. I think that woke me up in that sense. And then coming home, getting back into the music and wanting to do something a lot more positive, because I didn't want to see the kids go down the road that I went or be in those cells like I know a lot of my friends went. So I came home to trying to change the message a little bit, not go so far from it. I didn't want to go all the way, I didn't want to go, but I understood that, because I sat down and said, what attracted me when I was young? When I was 15, 10, 9, like, who could have came to me and said something to me? And I said, the drug dealers had my ear. The dudes that people looked up to had my ear. You understand what I'm saying? They had my ear. So I'm like, why did they have my ear? Because I felt like I identified with them and they were shiny and they were things. And I said, well, I have this persona. I have recognition. People from my community respect me. So I have to utilize that respect, and I have to utilize my platform to have a message that's going to uplift. Right. Yeah, we all went through these things, and our goal is to be able to do these things or have done these things and be able to make it so that you don't have to do it. No child, no man, real man wants to see his son be carry the family business of drug dealing into the next generation. His goal is to, if I'm stealing drugs and I'm risking my life, is so that my son and my kids and my daughter don't never have to do that. So that was my mind state behind that. So when Trayvon got murdered, I think that really just activated my activism.
That's deep. That's deep. Now, what do you think was the turning point where hustling? You know, you talk about principles with hustling. What was going on in black culture where the principles, people just abandoned the principles of hustling, people abandoned the principles of street culture? What was going on in our culture where that just got thrown out the window?
I think the crack era did it.
Crack era, okay.
I think the crack era took so many people from us, either through being addicted to it or just them locking up and recoing all the people who had principles and who had the message and who understood the culture, and them completely taking them away from the culture and leaving people out here just in positions that were never really bred for that anyway. They weren't of that cloth. So you start, like, now you walk out and the people that you see hustling, you be like, what? You be confused, like, you hustle?
Right.
Knowing that,
right. Yeah.
like, knowing that when the police come get you, you gonna tell them that, but you're not even built like this. You doing it because you enjoy the amenities. You enjoy the you know, the goal. You enjoy the money of it, but you're not prepared for the consequences.
Right.
And that's what started happening. So when they locked all of the stand-up dudes up and they took them all off the streets, then they left it open to the kids that just was watching and said, oh, they had nice cars.
Right.
So I could take over now, not knowing that what comes with it, because there wasn't nobody schooling them to the game. And then a lot of our role models and people that we looked up to became addicted to crack. You know what I'm saying? You started saying, damn, such and such used to be this. Now he a crack. So that whole era is where we just they left the youth to fend for themselves and try to figure things out and not giving them any real direction. And I think it just continued to catapult and snowball into what we have today, a whole era of principalists and people who have no morals, who don't have any level of integrity. You understand? In anything you do, there should be a level of integrity. Like, people don't have, snitching is just, who cares? I'm just trying to figure out how to get out. I don't have to focus on you, and there's no accountability for it. You know, nobody shuns the snitch. Nobody does anything to the snitch. So what is to stop you from doing it? It's just like, if you could just kill people and not go to jail, it'd be a lot more people getting killed. You know what I'm saying? But so I think snitching is at an all-time high, and integrity is not even counted. All you have to do in this era is have money.
Well, a lot of people run with the phrase self-preservation is the first law of nature. So if somebody snitches on the street and a dude say, nigga, why you snitch on him? Yo, self-preservation is the first law of nature. I had a family and a wife to feed. What the fuck you want me to do? What would you say to a brother that used that as an excuse for snitching?
I would say that self-preservation is the first law of nature. So you should not have engaged in any activity that you weren't willing to deal with the consequences of. That's self-preservation. Right. Self-preservation is knowing that as a man, I'm not fully prepared to deal with these consequences. So I'm not going to put myself in a position in which I jeopardize my family and my friends and my life, because I know that's not what I'm willing to do. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, you're not going to get on the football field and then press charges after somebody tackle you, right?
Right. Okay.
You know, say, yo, he broke my, this is football. You can't play this game. You know, you understand, you're not going to get in a boxing match and say you're a boxer. And then,
in the middle of the match, right?
In the middle of the match, and say, you know what, I quit, and I want to sue them because he broke my eye. This is assault. No, it ain't assault. You know what I'm saying? It's a society. These are unwritten rules that you know that getting in this game, the only thing that is promised to you is jail or prison or death. Those are the only thing promised. Anything else, some people make it out, some don't. And when you get involved in that lifestyle, not making that a reality, not saying that to yourself, not reiterating, not understanding that, okay, damn, I just made $5,000. But what it took me to make that $5,000, I might have to do life. And I'm prepared to do that because that $5,000 is worth me doing my life. If you haven't come to that decision, then you shouldn't be in the streets.
Right, okay. Makes a lot of sense for the young dudes out there contemplating making that decision, you know, from a dude like you. So I hope they listening out there.
So too, beloved.
Definitely. All right. So when we talk about from generation to generation, each generation has their definition of what street is, what real is. Like you see some the generation before us, they may look at the young dudes and say, these niggas wear these tight jeans, these niggas ain't real. The young dudes would be like, yo, this is just how I dress. That don't make me no less real than you. Saying that to say this. Your comments recently on Troy Ave, the Breakfast Club, I think you did something by yourself where you called him a bozo, where you said he's not real, according to your standards of being real. My question to you, my son, is what if somebody come, what do we do as a community when you have your standards, you come at Troy Ave, but then somebody else in the background watching your video has their standards and they say, my son, what you did ain't real. You called them out on the internet. You should approach them on the street. That's what real niggas did in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. So you not real. Now I'm going to get at you. So he gets at you. And then after he gets at you, somebody gets at him. And then it's a cycle of people getting at each other because we all have different definitions of what being real is. How do we fix that problem, my son? If you think Troy Ave ain't real, then another dude think you ain't real for what you did talking about Troy Ave.
The reality of the situation is like a presidential election, and everybody has a campaign, and your reality and my reality might be different, but I have to let my reality be known.
Okay.
Because the reality of the situation is, if it's like having a jewelry store, right? Mm-hmm. And I brought my gold. You can test it under a tester. You can go to the diamonds, you can look them up, right? And I'm selling jewelry.
Right,
and it might be a little higher than that, but it's real jewelry. You open up a jewelry store across the street from me, and you selling slum jewelry. But they don't know it's slum because they never even had real jewelry. See, this is what happened with this era. What's happened with this era is they started glorifying the snitches. They started glorifying it. The niggas, the crime that they do now, they're faceless crimes. A scammer is really a sneak thief.
Interesting.
That's the reality of the situation. There's no honor. There's nothing amongst that. A sneak thief, you stealing from niggas' grandmothers, they tuition and all that shit. You don't even know the people you're stealing from. And you sneak thieving and you taking something. There's no real honor or anything that comes with that. You understand what I'm saying? When we was in the streets hustling, listen, a man claimed his territory. I've earned my territory, boom. This is my spot. You take that over there. When a man felt like he no longer owned that territory, he didn't believe he was man enough to take that territory, they did what they did to try to tell that man, you can't live there. Man to man, they dealt with those consequences. They went to jail, they dealt with it. That was a concept. That was real, like in Money and Violence. The nigga said, I rob people, I don't steal. I look a man in his eyes and I want something, I take that from that man, and I'm willing to deal with those consequences that come with that action. A nigga who's swiping, it ain't really no level of integrity with that. Because you don't even know the person that you don't even know what's going on with that. You don't even know who money you stealing. You don't know who account you stealing now. So therefore, you don't even have to be engaged. There's no real level of difficulty. There's no real level of you building. You don't have to establish yourself as somebody in the street who has integrity to be a scammer. Right or wrong? You got girls that don't. They sending girls into stores. And that when they get caught, they gonna tell on you, and nobody thinks about that. You think that this girl, that because you gave her a card and she go in the store and she got her whatever she want, she ain't gonna tell on you when the feds grab her. No, that's why 50 or 60 of them is going down at a time, because there's no level of integrity. It doesn't take anything to be a scammer. You don't have to be tested on any level to be able to commit these crimes that's going on today. So when somebody looks at what I'm saying, my definition of real is based on my moral compass. Everybody has a moral compass. When I looked and I said, and I made a decision that, damn, what Troy Ave said wasn't real to me. I said, if I had a friend and I was giving him money, I would never say it to somebody. Somebody else might feel that's real. That's for you to say. If you think it's real, but you're going to be able to put that up and say, let me look at both sides, and then I can make a decision. What happens is, right now, if you only given one thing, and that's what's being told is real to you, then that means most people been around fake so long that they can't even recognize real no more. It's like I said with the jewelry store. Now you go to the fake jewelry store and you don't know it's fake because you never had a real chain before.
Okay.
So when you keep wearing it and your neck turn green, and he be like, nah, it's supposed to be like that. And then when you come to my store and you get the jewelry, you're like, yo, this shit ain't real. Your neck don't turn green. Real is perception, and the perception is based on your reality. My reality is based on my moral compass. I understand if I got a friend's mother, this is what I was taught. You respect somebody's mother at all costs. I'm never gonna argue with my mother. I don't give these new niggas like fuck that. She said something to me.
Yeah.
If that's your moral compass and you subscribe to that, I have the right to say it ain't real. Now, somebody else could come behind me and say, well, you shouldn't have said it. But that's up for you to decide who's saying the truth. It's like an election. We have a debate. I want my truth. I'm willing to stand on that. And I can sit with any man or woman and have a conversation with you and know that at the end of the day, you're going to have to take what I say at face value. Whether you agree or disagree, you will definitely be able to see where I come from. I can't see where half the shit that went in that interview come from. I can't see what's real about a 30-plus-year-old man sitting up there glorifying and telling you a story about somebody that tried to kill him like he was God. I don't see what was real about it. Nigga like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I pressed the exhaust. You ain't no killer. I've been in situations. I got killed. 90% of the people around me have done crime. Most of them have done homicides. They changing their life. They moving around. Chi Ali is like one of my best friends. He caught a homicide, killed. It's documented. He did his time, and every time you ask him about those situations, it's remorse. It's like, you know, I wish I would have never done no shit like that. Now thinking back, it didn't even make sense. It's not, yeah, I shot the nigga and what up? Yeah, I did it like a real nigga. It's none of that. You understand what I'm saying? So my definition of real is based on me being around people who have the same moral compass that I have. So when I see you preaching something that just goes completely disaccording to what I was taught real was, it's my job and my duty as a man who stands on certain principles to denounce those principles, to denounce what you stand for, because if what you stand for survives, then my way of life diminishes. If they start believing that the shit that Troy Ave doing is real, and I say I'm real, and you utilizing your platform to tell people this is real and condition them, this is real, this is real, this is real. I got money, I'm real. I don't care what niggas say, I'm $1 million, I'm real. And money makes you, if money starts to make you real, and that becomes what people subscribe to, then my way of living and my way of life is destroyed because I don't subscribe to that. I deal with integrity. I deal with a man on his merits of his actions and his character. So when you got people telling you that real is something other than that, then I feel like I wouldn't be the person I am not to say something about that.
Do you think the old school that we praise so much, and we be like, yo, these young dudes, you know, they don't listen or they don't have principles or this or that. Some people may feel as though rules are meant to be broken, and that the old school gangsters and the way it was back in the day, it was too constrictive. It was like you know, you didn't have freedom. A lot of rappers feel like they couldn't talk about certain things. They couldn't wear certain things. When Cameron first wore pink, a lot of the people was like, yo, what the fuck is you doing? You wear pink? And he was like one of them disruptors where he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna wear pink. I don't care what the old school dudes say, what this dude say, whatever. So a lot of dudes look at these young dudes, regardless of whether we agree with them or not, they are disruptors and they have a certain freedom element to them. Mm-hmm. What would you say to those who say, you know, regardless of what we feel about Young Thug or when Cameron wore pink, or when Pharrell started doing what he was doing, or when Kanye really started the tight jeans, mm-hmm. and the old school niggas like, what the fuck, Kanye, you a cornball. So what do you think about these disruptors that are criticized by the old school, but then through the test of time, it seems as though they made the right decision?
It's not so much about making the right decision or the wrong decision. It's just that they were strong in their convictions.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Like Hitler almost took over the world with words because he believed one thing. He was a 5'3" man that told you some shit, and he almost took over the world. So that's not hard to do. You could be a disruptor, and that's what the key. That's what the key to it is. It's understanding that. Understanding that as a man, if I do not stand on my principles and stand for what I stand for, then somebody else's principles and ideology will become law.
Right.
So we all fighting for what we believe in, and it's not saying I'm right or I'm wrong, but this is what I'm made up of.
Right.
So when the world stops looking like me, and I become when I become inferior, when I become the minority, then I'm uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? I told people, like, when you in prison, right? You have a certain amount of time in the house. So there's a way that things run in the house. You know, people get this. There's a routine. You do this. You do this. You do that. Someone comes in, and they might not like the way the house is run.
Right. Okay.
You know, they might be like, yo, I want to watch this at this time. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you try to compromise, and then sometimes they be like, all right, now I got that. Now I want this. So what happens is, if you allow someone to change the natural course and the reality that you live in, then you become uncomfortable to make someone else comfortable.
Okay.
So that's the reality. Like when Cam was a disruptor and he wore pink, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to do what he wanted to. Russell Westbrook wants to dress the way he wants because he feels like he don't want to subscribe. That's him, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's who he is. But the problem is, if that's not me and that started to become prevalent, why should I be quiet? Why should I not stand up for what it is that I stand for? You understand what I'm saying? My silence is acceptance to something. So if I know I don't accept, I don't want to wear pink. I ain't wearing no pink. That's just something ain't for me. I'm gonna wear this. So I give the people who don't want to wear that an opportunity to follow who they want to follow. Not feel like, yo, well, everybody else is wearing pink. Ain't nobody else wearing nothing else. And even though I don't want to wear pink, I got to because that's what the norm is. And that's what we get caught up in. People get caught up in the status quo. I don't subscribe to the status quo. If it don't fit who I am as a man, I don't have to subscribe to that. And you don't have to subscribe to me if I don't fit. And just like I tell people, I had an opinion about Troy Ave. Somebody had an opinion about me. And people, you can't be mad at me for my opinion when you made the same decision to say something about my opinion. Why are you mad at me? I said something that made you uncomfortable to the point where you needed to get up here and say something. And you never even met me before. You don't know nothing about my life. You don't know nothing. You just seen one interview that prompted you to say, you know what? I feel like I got to respond. Why can't people understand when I heard something that went according to how I believe, so I felt the need to respond? It's the same principle. And when people say, yo, you know, it ain't real because you should approach them about what? He put something into the world and made a comment to the world. He wasn't in his house. He wasn't chilling. He didn't call me. He didn't text me. No, he put a message into the world, which portrayed rappers, which portrayed New York, which portrayed so-called real niggas in a fashion that went discordant to how I felt. So I put the same energy into the world to dispel the myth of what I felt. I don't have a beef with him. I ain't saying when I see him is on sight. I ain't get on Instagram and say, when I see you, I'm going to put my hands on you. Nah, that's not how I felt. I was disturbed. I was angry at what he put out. You know, so that's why you see the energy. And when you see it, it wasn't hate. Hate is when you don't even have a reason for what you're saying. When you can't give me no reason, I'm like, yo, why you don't like Son or why you don't like this? I don't know. I just don't like it. That's hate. You can say, okay. You can say that's hate. But if I say, yo, why you don't like him? Yeah, you know, I don't like the way he talks to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the way he treats people. I don't really like the way he dresses. I don't like nothing about his energy is off. We don't have good communication. That is a reason. That is your opinion. And and you should be able to have that opinion. Everybody's not going to like everybody or everything. And that's just life. You know what I'm saying? Me and that man have different ways of life, the way we think. The way we were taught I was taught to judge a man on integrity, character, honor, and his morals. His whole thing is, I got money. That completely goes disaccording to what I was taught. Because before we had money, we had respect. from kindergarten, we didn't have money. I had respect in kindergarten. I carried myself a way in which from kindergarten, everybody from my kindergarten class would say, yo, that's who Mysonne was his whole life. Because I carried myself with integrity, and those were rules that I was taught by the older G's. Those are things that my father taught me. Like, it's about being a man at all times. It's about carrying yourself, living by your word, being a friend, being loyal. These are things that I was taught. So when I watch a person get up there talking about a person who died for his mother in a fashion that was disaccording to what I was taught, when I watch a person talk about dudes that ran with him for 10 years and when he was at the bottom, and you talk and you defame him on a camera, even if you felt that way, I wasn't taught that.
Right, okay.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like, what? How you do that? Me and my friends gonna have fallouts, and every time a nigga asks me about it, I'm like, nah, he good. Yeah. Y'all good? Yeah. I'm never gonna put that energy into the public. So when I start seeing that and it becoming a norm, everybody's doing it. If I don't step up and say that's not real shit, everybody's gonna do it. These kids gonna start doing well. Everybody's just putting they whole business on social media. Dudes is getting locked up because they wrote on Facebook, yeah, I had to shoot a nigga.
Yeah.
You know, it's like because you start not realizing that shit don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? But because it's been seen so much and you seeing it constantly, you start to attribute it to a natural way. We've normalized abnormality.
Normalized it.
We've normalized
abnormalities. Okay.
And that's what we've done. So that's
real.
It's real. I'm telling you, it is so real. People put their whole life on social media.
Yeah.
And you be like, what? What happened to your family? Like your privacy, have some level of, but this is the era we in. So to combat that, you got to utilize the same platforms that they're utilizing to spread the false message. You can't just be in your house and you can't go whisper to a dude, yo, that's messed up, boom, boom. Like I tell dudes, if you condone sucker shit, then you a sucker too. If you around a dude doing sucker shit and you call yourself a real dude and you don't say nothing because you don't want to disturb or let them do that, how? That's like you watching somebody rape it. Yo, he raped a chick. I left. I don't fuck with it. He got to deal with that. Nah. As a man, your soul is not supposed to allow you to do that. You're supposed to figure out how to get in. And if a nigga argue with me about that, I say, yo, it's not real. You mind your business. That's real nigga shit. It ain't me. You know what I'm saying? Why not mind your business? Why mind my business? If I walk in front of my building and I see one of the drug dealers in the hood that's hustling with 10 kids that's 10 years old, telling me, yo, fuck school, my nigga. Go out and get you some pack. Get you some money. You see this Benz? I ain't go to school. I dropped out in 3rd grade, my nigga. I ain't never been to school. This is what it's about. Fuck what everybody tell you. They gonna tell you that shit. And if I allow that to happen, if I walk by and these kids see me walk by and give this dude a pound, whether I say yes, whether I say he right or not, they take it as I have acceptance for what he says.
Right.
So if I don't check him and tell them what's really going on, then I'm just as guilty as he is.
Indeed. I want to, you mentioned about, regardless of what happened with Troy Ave, he talks about his paper. I noticed during the Nicki Minaj, Remy Ma beef, regardless of how ill Remy's bars was and how good Sheeta was, all people could talk about was how much money Nicki Minaj had. So what I want to ask you, Mysonne, is how can we, as a culture, how can we get to the point where we admire the things money can't buy? Because we admire the things money can buy right now, obviously. Cash rules everything around us or whatever right now. But how do we get to the point where we be like, yo, okay, Nicki got the money. You know what I'm saying? I'm not coming at Nicki, but yo, Remy got a certain talent, a certain integrity, a certain respect for the culture, a certain this, a certain that, a certain level of bars with, a certain level of bars. How do we get to the point where we appreciate things that money can't buy? Because for some reason, that's getting overlooked now.
Well, the only way to do that is if the credible messages start retraining the mind state to that. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
It was a process of us doing that because people started to make us believe that money was over who you are. It was worth more than your morals and your integrity. So that shit went over years.
But can that happen in a capitalistic system that we live in?
Of course it can.
Okay. Because
the reality of the situation is the capitalists that profit off of it, they profit off it because they tell you that. You understand what I'm saying? We are the biggest consumers. We are the ones that they appeal to because the average Caucasian, they don't even abide by those rules that you think. The average Caucasian won't give his kid the best pair of sneakers until they graduate high school. They have more money than us, but they don't even glorify the shit that they got. They teach their kids about integrity and building, and they teach them about morals and principles, and they live within those things. So money is something that's so common to them that's not even the basis of anything that they do most of the time. You understand what I'm saying? I know rich people that be like, "Oh, you paying $200 for wine? That's too much for me." Like they don't. That shit don't freak them. Right. I know rich dudes that got old Bentleys or old 1967 cars that they drive that still got dust on. They don't care about it. They go out and buy $10 and $20 tennis shoes. You understand what I'm saying? They don't glorify that. So we have to retrain our minds to understand the only reason to get that is when we don't glorify it and we move and we do things that's about growth, and that will be the reward. But when you do everything just based off money, you'll never really be successful because that's what you keep chasing. You chasing it so much. You know what I'm saying? If we looked at everything, even hip-hop in its purest form, it was before people was making millions of dollars because that wasn't the goal. Right. You get artists that wanted to be the best. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to be great. They wanted to be able to compete and say things and do things that no other artists do. All these artists do now is like, I'm just trying to feed my family. Yeah, I know I can't really rap, but people buying it and I'm rich. You understand what I'm saying? So it taints.
Anything wrong with that though? Is there anything? Because I heard them say that. Some of the new mumble rappers, they have said that. Is there anything wrong with that?
What do you think? What is your opinion? Because my opinion doesn't really count when you the consumer. If I'm selling you, if just like this, if I sell you a dream and you buy it and I get rich, then who the joke is on?
That's real.
If I'm selling you trash and saying I'm selling you trash and you stupid because I'm richer than you, niggas literally talk to the fans and be like, you broke. They might as well be told, you broke, you don't got nothing, nigga. I got $100 million in safe. You broke niggas, this and that. And they talking to you because you don't got $1 million in the safe. You barely got $200 in your pocket. Right. So they making you feel like you less than a man because you don't have what they have and you going out buying it and putting it in your ears. And you like this. He ain't saying nothing to uplift you. He telling you that you stupid because you don't got money and I got money and I'm the man. And this is the shit that we buy. This is the shit that we think is okay. So you got to ask yourself, is that okay? Is it okay that somebody comes into an art that I really respect and I listen to that doesn't even care whether they're creative or they doing something to push the culture forward or whether they got a hot song or anything. They don't even care. They just doing something to get $1. Is that okay with you? And if it's okay with you, then cool. Those are the people you support. But if you feel like, damn, I want somebody that has some type of love for the music, that sat in the studio and put some real art into it, that put some creativity into it, that put some pain into it, that put they self because they want to present this to the world and they care about how it's judged. They care about how the greats visualize and see them or where they go in terms of artists. They care about those things. I mean, if that's not what you want to support, then who? If you just want to support a nigga that just jump up there and say, I don't give a fuck, I'm getting money, nigga, I don't give a fuck. If that's all it take for you to make some money, then do it. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with it. It's room for everybody. You understand what I'm saying? But I just think that we need to support and celebrate the people that really care about the people. Because it diminishes the creativity, it diminishes the people from really wanting to put something into it when they realize that the people that's winning don't even give a fuck about the culture. So why should I care? It demoralizes the real artists.
Since we talked about, you just made the example of I don't give a fuck, I'm just getting money. Them type of rappers. Let me ask you about the lyrical rappers. Mm-hmm. It seems as though people feel as though the mumble rappers is getting all the shine. They would throw Lil Yachty Yeah, I think that's how they pronounce the name, right? Lil Yachty in that category. Some people, I've heard more and more people, and I thought this myself sometimes, in terms of lyrical rappers. Sometimes, do you think lyrical rappers have a problem with the beat that they're rhyming on? There's some type of conflict between the lyrical rappers and the beat that they're rhyming on. And it seems as though they feel as though their lyrics are so important, so potent, that they don't want no competition with the beat. They pick a simple beat because they want people to concentrate on their lyrics. So the lyrical rappers seem to have the most simplistic beats out there that don't really make you feel. But the mumble rappers have these beats that make people feel. You don't even have to like mumble rap. You could just be having a conversation, a car drive by in the street, then all of a sudden your body start moving. You're like, oh shit, what's that? Then you're like, oh shit, is that bullshit? I can't believe I was dancing in that bullshit. But you won't do that with a lyrical rapper unless you actually heard the lyrics. So sometimes it seems as though a lyrical rapper purposely bypasses those beats for the simple beat so people could solely concentrate on the lyrics. What do you think about that whole theory that they purposely bypass those type of beats because all they want is people to concentrate on the message and what they have to say?
I think that's a very broad statement because there are a lot of lyricists. Like Kendrick gets a bunch of beats that when you hear them, they have that energy and he's still rapping. You know, J. Cole does it. You know, who else would I say? It's a lot of lyricists. Like Kanye's a lyricist and he don't just pick beats that don't compete with him. So I just think Jay-Z never does that. So I think there are lyricists that do that and they pick less beats that make you move. And I don't know if it's just because they don't want to compete with the beat. I think a lot of it's about artistry. You know, there are a lot of rappers that's not very good artists. You know, there's a lot of lyrical rappers that can rap their ass off but just can't make a good song because it's like you say, it sounds like they're competing with the song. And then there's a lot of artists like Fab. Fab is a dope lyricist and he still finds beats that, you know, he takes relevant beats. He takes beats that still make you feel a certain way. Or he'll take beats that they got that would make you feel well, and then he'd throw lyrics to it. So it can be done. I think you just got to look for certain artists, the artists that are able to do it. And I think a lot of times, a lot of lyricists get comfortable in slower, more, you know, less congested beats to it, just a drum and a violin or whatever it is, to where you're right, like you can hear what they're saying. And if it's not a perfect marriage, because sometimes they do it and it's still a dope song. Like Nas is able to do that. Nas, some people say Nas don't pick. I think he picks dope beats. Some beats I might not like, but some beats I do.
Right, Vlad said that. DJ Vlad said that.
You know what I'm saying? Some beats he don't like, but then there's some beats that I be like, this shit is fire. Like Hate Me Now and all that shit. Like it's beats that he's picked. One mic that are beats that he made you feel like nobody else could have been on those beats with him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's what it's about. I think he looks for artistry. I think he don't say, yo, let me get a beat from Metro Boomin. Let me go get the same beat from this dude, the same beat that everybody's playing, and just regurgitate it. They add a different drum pattern, a different instrument here and there, and then go with it. I think he listens for artistry. I think, like what I do, when I'm listening to beats, the beat talks to me. The beat tells me what to rhyme to it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Certain instrument, I hear words and just start saying, okay, that's how I'm going to do this. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't no particular beat. It ain't no particular anything. It's just what, if I hear a beat that I like and it says something to me, I have a conversation with the beat. Me and the beat are conversing. You know, and then I think that's what it takes. I think trying to find a perfect marriage, man. And I think a lot of these artists and lyricists that do it, some of them just ain't good at picking beats. You know, sometimes that's why they have A&Rs that are able to pick beats and walk you through certain things and show you. Like I was blessed to be in the studio with a lot of great musicians, you know, from young. Like DMX is like one of the all-time flowers and beats and tell you how to change inflection and melody and all these things. Ja Rule, and I was able to be in the studio with a lot of them. So being able to listen and see how they attack beats. And Mace used to just hum before he even jumped on the beat. He would hum a melody and then start filling the words in. So everybody does something different. So when you look and you see what the greats do, how they compose music, it gives you a different insight. So a lot of times people just need that insight.
Indeed. I want to talk to you about Charlemagne the God got a new book, Black Privilege. Very
Shout out to Charlemagne.
Yeah. Shout out to the brother. I really appreciate the brother for what he do with his platform. Him bringing on certain speakers and on his platform. It's like he said, it's a perfect combination of ratchetness and righteousness. So I definitely appreciate what the brothers out there doing to reach the masses. Black privilege, man. I mean, a lot of black conscious intellectuals don't like that concept because they feel as though it paints a false narrative about what's going on, and he's not addressing the core issues of white privilege, and he's living in a fairy tale land. When just to use that word, black privilege, when you ask him his definition, he says, I've seen him on ABC and several networks. In terms of black privilege, he says it's something spiritual. White privilege is something systemic. He views black privilege as being something spiritual that allows us to tap into a divine system and succeed in spite of whatever we got going on with us. So based on his definition of what I just said, and you taking in consideration that a lot of black intellectuals, conscious intellectuals, feel as though this dude is living in Stephen A. Smith land, Charles Barkley land, or whoever else land, where he doesn't know what the hell's going on. What would you say? What would you say about this concept of black privilege being something spiritual and not systemic?
I believe that everyone has an ideology. Everyone has something that they subscribe to. Everyone has something that pushes them forward. There are words you say, there are things you think. And I think he coined a phrase based on his reality, based on what was going on in his life, the ups, the downs, and to see him being at a level of success he is. And I think that there are people who don't like the phrase, but in reality, what he's saying is there's a certain energy that blacks possess. We are resilient. We have been through everything you possibly can name, and somehow we have managed to still be here. We managed to, some of us have rose again up beyond the hell pretty much. And a lot of us have found a way. They are not. You've never seen a more resilient people than blacks in this world. Like they pretty much almost eliminated all other races outside of whites. The Europeans pretty much did so much damage, and no other race of people have been through what we've been through and still been able to sustain. Other nationalities and things are still trying to figure out how to just make it. And we have so many people who have exceeded far past. We just had a black, you understand what I'm saying? We've done things in America, in this world, that is unprecedented. So I understand what he means by black privilege, is being able to tap in to whatever it is that our forefathers and our ancestors had to continue to keep going, that made them historical, whatever it is that made Malcolm wake up and say, nah, I'm going to do this today, or whatever it is that made Martin say, I'm going to do this, or whatever made Jordan do this, or whatever makes the person LeBron do what he does. There is a level of black magic that we have. And you call it privilege, but it's a privilege because only we possess it. It's just like our melanin. It's only we possess that. And no other form of people have that but us. So that is a privilege in itself. We are built to be resilient. We are built in the form of what they say God is, because we are resilient. The black man is able to live in any place in this world. Unlike the Caucasians that when they live in the sun, it destroys them, and they get cancer, skin cancer all the time. Our bodies are built to survive in any terrain. Our minds are meant to adapt and continue to grow. So when you take that on as a privilege and you acknowledge that, then you walk in that space to your success and to your growth and to your elevation. And I think that's what the book, I haven't read the book yet. I'm actually going to go, as soon as we leave here, I'm going to go to the bookstore and buy the book because I want to support Charlemagne. But just knowing him and being able to communicate with him is just seeing all, being able to identify and see all things that we've been through. I know that we have amassed a certain level of success and wealth throughout this world that should have been impossible. And the only thing you can attribute that to is our spirit and our natural calling, which he equates with the word privilege. So, but I understand that people saying, it's like white privilege, in some way for us to say white privilege, like he said, is systemic. It's some shit that's been man imposed. The man made the white privilege. That's some shit that was created for us to follow. What he's talking about is God's given privilege. You know what I'm saying? God gave
God's
us
given privilege.
It's God's given privilege. And when we identify with that and we able to hold on to that and believe in that, I don't think it's nothing that you can't, like, my life is a testament to that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I went through the shit that I went through in my life. I'm not supposed to be here even having this conversation for you to feel that I'm relevant enough to have this conversation with you. I lost everything I had, the 7 years for crimes I didn't commit, came home, grinded for 10 years, didn't know where I was going to get my next dollar, anything from. But I believed in me and what I was saying and doing so much that it began to transfer to the world. It began to... People started to identify and be like, damn, this is authentic. You know what I'm saying? And had I not believed that, had I not believed in my quote-unquote privilege, as he speak, beyond what somebody else thought or what the norm was, then who knows where I would be. If I went according to somebody else's belief or what the normal was, Mike, you should start rapping. You're not 21 no more. You know what I'm saying? These kids is 21. It's a young man's sport. Don't rap. You wasting your time. You need to do this. Why? Because you said that? Or because you haven't seen somebody do what I'm doing? Why? Why would I subscribe to that? Because you don't get to dictate what my privilege is, what my purpose is. This is between me and God. So if I allow people to tell me what was okay for me to do or what wasn't right for me to do, then I would never be there. So when I hear that black privilege, that's what I get from it. It's just being able to identify in you what's special about you and being able to make that the thing that turns you into someone who is successful.
When you have people, there seems to be such a divide in the black community. I only got about 2 more questions left. I definitely appreciate this interview, my brother. When you got such a divide between those who have and those who don't have, and when you have somebody like Charlemagne that mentions this comments of black privilege and mentions that, you could survive, or regardless of whatever you're going through, you got something inside of you that could surpass that. Some people look at that as, he's being arrogant. He made it and he's looking down on the people who didn't make it. He lucked up. He works for the white man. He works for the radio. They'll say all types of things. So there's this thing where the people that succeed tell everybody who doesn't succeed, I did it. You could do it. And the people that aren't doing it and say, nigga, I can't do it, they only allow a certain amount of people to get where you're getting. And the people that succeed and say, no, they're not. You just have to have a certain mentality because white supremacy doesn't triumph over God. So how can we meet in the middle somewhere? Because they understand the systemic where they're saying only a certain amount of people, but then the people at the top are saying, no, fuck that. You could do whatever you want to do if you believe in it. Mm-hmm. How do we meet somewhere?
It's hard because it's about perception and your reality and how you see things. Okay. It's just like you're never gonna have one religion. The world is never gonna be one religion because there are people that see things through different scopes. And that's why you have different sects of the same religion. You have the Baptist, the Christian, the Methodist, like so many different things because they believe that Jesus did this, or they believe that Mary was this, or they believe this. Everybody is not going to believe the same thing. No, it's just impossible. But what you can do is what I do is you give your argument and what you believe in based on facts that you have to bring with them. And then at that point, people have to choose what fits them. What do you subscribe to? Like some people want to believe that, I can't do it and you lucked up. Okay, that's your reality. And then you got to find the space for where it is something being said.
But Mysonne, say I'm a street nigga, and I agree with everything you're saying. I'm a street nigga. I hear what you're saying. I say, Mysonne, the reality is I get stopped every other day by the police. The reality is they locking up niggas for no reason. So I hear what you're saying about this reality, that reality, but what I'm facing right now is a harsh reality. How do we, you know what I'm saying? And I like I said, I agree with what you're saying, but how do you communicate with somebody like that that's getting stopped by the police, that's getting harassed, that's seeing all types of crazy shit in the neighborhood? How do you make them understand that message?
I think what you have to do is, what we have to do as individuals is self-reflection.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, the average person, your likelihood of getting shot and the kid that's right now standing on the corner, likelihood of getting shot is a lot different.
It's different, yeah.
Because there's a reality in which you move in a circle that doesn't put you into that element.
Danger.
Exactly. You don't invite that energy to you. So when you look at the people that say y'all get pulled over every day, you gotta tell them to have self-reflection. Because you getting pulled over and maybe you ain't doing nothing.
Right.
But where are you at that you getting pulled over every day? Where are you at to where the police are doing it? Like, we have to have a level of self-reflection because they are more likely than not, the situations that come to us are the sum of all of our actions. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a very rare story about the kid that got shot by the stray bullet. It happens. You understand? Or the person that got shot for a bullet he wasn't doing anything. It happens. But 9 out of 10 times getting pulled over and you getting in beef and all that, your circumference, your surroundings, what you're doing is inviting that level of energy to you. So when I'm having a conversation with a person that tells me, I'm gonna say, you gotta ask yourself why this is happening. Just ask yourself, just be realistic. Say, let me look in the mirror and say, what am I doing? Because if this keep happening to me, I'm the common denominator here. I'm the common factor here. So if I do what I always did, I'm gonna get what I always got. If I don't change something about what my reality, then what else can I exact? What else am I invited in? If you don't create the atmosphere for growth, then how do you grow? If you don't sleep, you don't grow. Right. We grow when we sleep. If you don't eat and you can't grow. You don't sleep and you don't eat, you can't grow. So if a nigga like, I'm trying to grow, but you never sleep, my nigga, you gotta get you some rest. Like, I hear you want to grow, but these are the things that you need to do in order to grow. Just like these are the things you need to do to be successful and to find something within you. You understand what I'm saying? It's never going to happen when you keep surrounding yourself by the same shit and the same people that are getting the same results.
Indeed. I got one last question before you get up out of here. Like I said, I appreciate you coming through. Everybody make sure you support this brother's website. He got one of the fly shirts out right now, and I definitely want all the brothers in the hood and the sisters to rock that, because that's what we need right now. Yeah. In terms of earlier in our conversation, we talked about being real and, it always goes back to perception and different definitions. But I want to ask you this. They say, a big problem in the community is relationships. This black male-female relationships, and us having that family unit. We don't have the family unit that we used to have. A lot of single people out here. What I want to ask you in terms of being a real dude, or like how you was talking about Troy Ave and what resonates with you as a real dude, do you think they often say your mate is a reflection of who you are, right? So do you think, and when we see the rise of women doing all types of fake shit, whether and in dudes too, but in terms of their bodies, fake asses, fake titties, not just weaves. I'm talking about just straight wigs on their head, all types of fake shit. And brothers are saying they don't like it. Some brothers are gravitating toward it in the strip club. Do you think when a brother gets with a sister that has fake nails, fake this, fake eyelashes, fake breasts, fake ass, is that a reflection on his fakeness? Because there's some dudes that, let's say for instance Meek Mill. He was supposed to be one of the alpha males in hip hop. He got with Nicki, magnificent artist, but she got some Barbie tendencies within her that people would say like, yo, why you promoting this Barbie culture to our young black woman, as Remy Ma said in her freestyle? Do you think somebody that will get with a female like Nicki Minaj, does that reflect some type of fakeness in their psyche in order to be with a woman that has that promotes that type of Barbie culture?
I think we have to look at society and realize that we have a damaged society, and the culture is created, and these kids and these people are living within the culture that's been created. We have a drug culture where these kids is taking lean and Molly at 11 and 10 years old. That is the norm. It's been normalized. So what happens is you see people like Nicki Minaj, who we used to celebrate the black woman and her essence and her being natural and doing what she do, but that's no longer celebrated no more. That is not what we turn on our TV and see is getting glorified. We don't see the woman who has her regular body and we telling you how dope she is. We see all of the so-called girls that's winning have had some level of work done on them. So when this is what you show to the woman coming up, these young girls coming up, they're like, yo, my shit got to be right. I got to go to DR. I'm going to do this because that's what it's in to do. So I think when you look at the men, they've normalized it too. So I don't think you can really judge them by saying real or fake because they don't even know what real is at this point.
Okay.
They don't even know. It's just like there's a fabricated sense of what real is to them, and they see these girls and they look good. And they're like, well, I just want a girl to look good. That's all that matters. They're not even looking to try to identify with the authenticity of the woman. Like, I want my girl to look good and this and that. So that's what we've changed relationships. Relationships are more based on that than the person who's equally yoked with me, the person that's going to help me better, that's going to build with me, that mentally is here with me. And that's why relationships don't last in this era, because they're not really based off of nothing more than that. They're not based off nothing more than the physical attributes. So they're not. It hasn't gone beyond like, okay, you know, oh, my girl getting a little weight, but I love her anyway because she been grinding with me. She wakes up and she tells me shit that makes me turn into a better person. You know what I'm saying? That's what a bond is. These relationships are no longer built on that. They're built on plainly. Oh, you got a position. Oh, you got some status. I got a fat ass. Or you got a couple dollars. I got long hair. Or you got this. Or you can walk around me. I could be your trophy. I can do this and that. So that's what everybody's looking for. So you can't blame a woman that wants to be a trophy to her man. You can't blame her. How are you gonna blame her when she walk in the house and you on your phone and you on Bernice Burgo's page,
Instagram, right.
Instagram, you liking these pictures. She like, that I don't look like that. So let me go get my shit because I want my man to look at me the same way he look at them.
Right.
We've created that. You know what I'm saying? So we created that. We can't say you can't everything outside of your home. You gravitate to some shit that ain't really real, and then come home and tell her, nah, baby, but I want you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not authentic.
Right. They don't.
So you can't get mad at them when they like, nah, I want to be the apple of my man's eye. So we got to figure out how do we change that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's so much fake. I just think that it's been embedded in your mind. It's like before when chicks used to get ass shots, you were like, I ain't never fuck with.
Yeah.
Phony ass. Now you like, yo, her ass is fat. I don't care what she did. She fat now. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, so we've normalized abnormality and we continue to do it. It's just like a frog. They say if you put a frog in water and you turn up the heat just by 2 degrees every 5 minutes, he'll boil himself to death. He won't jump out. But if you put him in 100-degree water, he gonna jump out. So what happened is they realize that, and they slowly cooking us now.
Right.
They slowly just transitioning us to believe all this fake shit is real, and we just slowly just taking it like we got tired of fighting it. Yo, fuck this, I'm gonna do this. Or it ain't no, when there's no boundaries, there's chaos. And that's that's one thing about the Bible that's real to me. That reminds me of now. That when there's no boundaries, when a man could dress like a woman and niggas like, fuck it, because I just want to. But why would you want to? What would be the mind state to you that you would want to dress like a woman? What would you look to accomplish unless you're trying to break the barrier of us even being able to identify who we are, or be able to say that's a woman or man? Why would I want to break that barrier? Why would I want to be able to do things to identify? Because I want to know what my natural mate is. Unless you got a different agenda. You understand what I'm saying? So right. We gotta have boundaries, or we're lost because we'll have nothing but chaos.
Man, and on that note, like I said, once again, I appreciate the interview, my brother, coming through. And I see you all over the place right now, so I definitely appreciate you coming to my program, my platform, to share this message. Any last thing you want to tell the people about, your website or anything you want to tell them, just let them know right now.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My website is NBCapparel.com. You can go there. You can get these shirts. We got sweatsuits. We got hats. We got a lot of sports apparel. We got a lot of different. We got jackets. We got socks.